Moving on with our conversation of target audiences, we're going to start talking about what marketers do with all the information they gather. So just like we talked about in that last PowerPoint lecture, we now know why people go online and what they're doing when they go online. So let's talk about how we can begin segmenting groups of people to refine our target audience for our social media marketing campaigns. The challenge for digital marketers is really to make sure that the right person gets the right content at the right place, at the right time, in the right format, in the right language, and on the right device. So it seems a little daunting, but I promise you that it's not. We're going to talk about how we can figure out who that right person is and how to get the information they need, when they need it, where they need it, and how they need it. So first of all, let's just do a little principles of marketing recap and define what a target audience is. A target audience is a group of customers that a company has decided that they want to reach with their marketing message. So it's a group of common people who are going to receive a common message. And if you think about marketing or branding as a whole, one way that companies kind of create groups of people is that they create personas for their company's different audience. And a persona is a role or a character that's developed by a marketer. It's fictional, and it's a generalized representation of that company's ideal customer. And developing these personas helps marketers internalize their ideal customer that they're really trying to attract. And it also helps marketers relate to those customers when they're starting to create marketing campaigns. As your book states, a typical persona definition includes a demographic profile, which includes maybe someone who has internet expertise or access to technology. So the persona is also going to kind of have in its definition any type of constraints that the group of people might have, which for social media specifically could also include technological limitations. This group of people doesn't have a lot of access to the internet, or maybe this group of people are digital natives. So it helps us kind of understand what their constraints are. And then we also need to know what their needs and wants are. And so that way we can build these personas and we can use them to focus on when we're creating our marketing campaigns. Now, your book walks through how personas are developed, and it uses the example of airline travelers. We're not going to spend a lot of time on that section in this course just because we are a bit condensed, but it is a great read if you're interested in learning how companies really kind of put that thought together to create these different personas. What we're going to do is we're going to look at a list of personas that have been developed for social media marketers to use when they are creating their social media marketing campaigns. So these are kind of luckily for us, they're preset. These are very standard, different types of personas that companies use when they are targeting different people on social media platforms. This social technographics ladder was developed by a group called Forrester Research, and it was actually developed in 2012, but Forrester has continued to update the ladder each year and really kind of focuses on how people are grouped based on their social media activities. So this is a great way to already have a preset list of personas that we can use to market to. So we're going to walk through all these different personas, and you're going to be using these personas as we move forward throughout this course, because understanding how people interact online and what they're doing online and how they act is really going to help you create targeted social media campaigns. So let's start at the top of the ladder and work our way down. So let's talk about those creators. Creators are the most active people on the internet. Creators are people who are publishing blogs, they're creating web pages, they're uploading video and audio files, they write articles or stories, and they share them with others. So these people are very active online. There is a Another group who's not in here, but we're going to come back to them later, which is conversationalists, and they would fall on the rung between creators and critics. But let's jump down to talk about critics. Critics spend their time online, and they mostly are responding to other people. So critics are people who are responding to status updates. They're commenting on blogs. They comment on websites. They comment on news articles. They're the type of people who are writing reviews. They contribute to online forums and discussion boards. So they don't spend a lot of time creating their own content, but they spend a lot of time responding to other people's content. Talk about collectors. The next rung down there. Collectors these are the people who are using their online resources to gather information. So you'll see these people subscribing to RSS feeds. You'll find these people using other types of content aggregators to stay updated on information. So they're constantly collecting information to have at their fingertips. Now, joiners are present on social media, but they generally only work to maintain their own profiles and a few close relationships. So they're like collectors in the way that they gather information to feed their own knowledge, and they visit social networking sites generally only to stay updated. But they're not doing hardly any content creation, and they're really just maintaining their very basic profiles. So we keep moving down the ladder and we get to spectators. Spectators view from afar. They spend their time reading blogs, listening to podcasts, watching videos, or stalking other people's social media feeds. Spectators do not have any active participation on social media. They're not interested in creating content or conversing. They are purely there to watch and to listen. And then that brings us to the bottom rung. And the bottom rung are inactives. Inactives are not on social media at all. This would also include people who have created accounts but inactivated them. They would fall into this inactive category. They do not use social media to publish content, to search for content, to read content. They are not on there at all. So I know that's a lot, and there's a lot of different, these 6 different personas that have been created for us. They kind of help break down social media users online, and this really helps advertisers, helps marketers determine, well, who are we looking at? Are we looking at a group of creators? Do we want people to take our content, transform it, and publish it back out to their friends? Or are we targeting the spectators who are just going to be reading it? And so how can we give them all of the information that they need so that they can make a good decision based on what we're providing? Because they're not likely to ask questions or generate discussion online. So it does help us understand who we're marketing to. There's a really great article, and I've posted this in the module for you to look at, when you have more time. But this breaks it down by generation. And so it talks about, how many creators are in each type of generation, how many inactives are in each generation. And so you can very much see that inactives have the highest percentage of people in that 62 plus age group. If you look at your own age group, which is probably somewhere in the young adults and Generation Y here, you'll see that you have very high percentage of joiners still, and you have a very high percentage of critics. But your content developers, your creators, seem to be in that young teens or young adult category. So it's very, very kind of interesting to look at it from a generation breakdown. But social media marketers, they use these personas to assist them in better understanding the target audience. And so knowing what your audience is doing online can help you create your marketing plan. And I also want to say that in most cases, social media plans are built to target more than one audience. So they're built to target more than one persona. Very rarely will you find a company who's targeting all groups of people, but you will find companies who target multiple groups. which really just enables them to more efficiently reach people who are most receptive to their message, so that they can target different people who would be interested in their product. So if you're following along in your textbook, we're going to take a pause in chapter 3 on page 47. So there's some additional content in chapter 3, and we are going to come back to that in a future module, but you don't need anything past 47 for the quiz for this module or for your first exam. We'll come back later, and I'll keep you updated on when we need to come back to that. So there are some Hootsuite videos that go along with chapter 3. There's one video. And if you go into Hootsuite University, you want to go to the content as CMD 120, lesson 1, video 2. It's about a 2-minute video, and it really kind of just reiterates some of the things we've talked about, but adds a few new insights on how customers are using social media.